Europe will be sending troops into Ukraine. That is what French President Macron has just stated. But before you start freaking out, it's going to be after a peace deal is signed. Let's go ahead and break it down. As Ukraine is still working through what the security guarantees will be so that, well, Russia doesn't invade ever again, one of the stipulations from the original talks was that Ukraine would get some kind of reassurance force. This would be something where, countries would send in some troops. These troops would then just kind of stay in certain areas, and it would be a deterrent so that Russia would not try to go inside of Ukraine. Because remember, while the United States is negotiating with Ukraine, the coalition of the willing still has their red lines. This is something completely different than NATO. These are just regular troops from different countries such as the United Kingdom. It could be Turkey, it could be France, could be multiple countries. And these troops would not be stationed on the front lines. They would be in major Ukrainian cities. Think of Kyiv, Odessa, places like that. Grand question is this something that Russia would be okay with? And from what we're reading so far, no, not really. But you got to draw the line somewhere, and I think that having other forces inside of Ukraine is definitely a big deterrent. But let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section below. I'll be sure to keep you updated, so please do share my videos and follow me for more. Ukraine has agreed to a peace proposal with just minor details left to iron out. That is what one senior U.S. official who's unnamed right now is saying, which actually contradicts a little bit of what Zelensky is putting out at this time, in which he says there's still much work left to be done, with some of the details being left for conversations between Zelensky and President Trump. If you don't know, right now, we're seeing the Secretary of the U.S. Army, Dan Driscoll, having meetings with Russian representatives inside of Abu Dhabi. According to those U.S. officials, they say that Ukraine is currently on board with the new plan that went from 28 points down to 19 points, and also added in a lot of new red lines, things that I'm sure Russia wouldn't be happy about, but it is something that Ukraine and Europe are okay with. That is removing the cap in military. Ukraine now wants at least 800,000. Russia wanted 500, and Russia actually thought 500 was still too high. NATO aspirations for Ukraine, that's back on the table when it comes to these red lines. And that Ukraine's border cannot be taken or changed by force. And so those were kind of hot-wired into that 19-point plan. All of which, by the way, we've yet to see a final plan. Has not been released yet. But now that that has been completed and the lighter stuff has been ironed out, we still don't know security guarantees or other things that Zelensky needs to talk to Trump about. That framework is now being presented to the Russians. We do know that high-ranking Russian officials have gotten hold of said plan and that they're quote-unquote reviewing it. The only official who's really talking about it right now is the Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov, who said that they're ready to discuss its content because there are a number of issues that require clarification. That's where we start getting into the Russian red lines, in which they want all the territory, and at least from what I'm understanding, this current new one, it doesn't give Russia all that territory. And because of how hard Russia's red lines are, it's possible that these talks could possibly stall. As a reminder, Zelensky is actually willing to do a lot of changes to actually get peace, and so far, we haven't really seen any changes from Russia. I'll be sure to keep you guys updated on this as we're going to get an update in a few hours, so please do share my videos and follow me for more.